Hi, welcome to another Canto Roboflow training movie. Today we are going to create a workflow that listens to categories, to new categories, and when these new categories are created, it will automatically create a path, a couple of subcategories. Imagine that beneath projects, whenever we create a new category, that we want this category to contain a subset, or even in a different catalog or in a different place in the category tree. So let's say that I create here another category or another project. What I did is I enabled in this catalog a trigger. I defined that for all categories, whenever a category is added, that a Roboflow trigger needs to be executed, and that execution is saving that information to an XML file at this location. So if I have a look at this location, we see that we now have an XML file there, and the format of it is a Roboflow trigger file. It contains enough information to tell Roboflow that this is a category trigger for the sample catalog about category 169. So what we're going to do now is that we are going to run a workflow that I prepared. I'm just going to say start on this workflow, and we will have a look inside the workflow when the process has finished. And so when we look in the log, it has created some category structures. If we look at the catalog, it did not do that. Why did it not do that? Because I made a mistake in my category path. So you see that it is working and not working. How are we going to evaluate this or check this? Well, what I did is I have a watch categories workflow that looks into the trigger folder that we defined to find the triggers, and now it is processing these one by one. I created a parameter file in which I defined a category to be created in a certain location, and I called it new category name, and that was my mistake in the workflow. I called it category name. That is why we have this ugly thing there. Another thing is that I actually want it underneath projects, and so I need to add projects in that place. So I'm going to do that, but I don't want to do this one by one. I have this text file open, so I can here just simply copy paste this, and this is a little bit faster fix. But here you can see you can put in whatever category path you want, and it will pick up the new category name. We would just need in the workflow to do a quick fix to see why it was not executing this correctly. So if we go back, or if we have a look in our parameter file, you see that now everywhere this has been added. And what I need to do now, and what I need to do now here is I need to go into my category name that I'm storing from the current record, and I need to call this new category name. What I do here is I store the path to this parameter file to be able to read it. I then store that parameter file as a table. I will run through all the lines of that parameter table, and then I'm storing the current category path. Maybe I want to use that in the script. That's something I store. I also store the parent category because I only want to create these subcategories if the category is the project category. So that's what I'll be testing on. And then I'm storing the name of the category of the new category, and I'm storing the name of the parent category. If I look here at the test, the parent category name, test starts with project. So text starts with ignore case projects, or it could be text equals ignore case if we want an exact match with the projects category. And then it will execute this part. In other words, it will process all the rows of my parameter file, and one by one it will pick up the value from it, and it will create that category. And then it writes that information into the log. So after fixing it, it should work fine now. So if we go back to the record, this one we can delete, and this one as well. And I can say now, okay, under projects, I want a new category. This is the project, just like this. And we will see that it has here a lot of new categories. Why? Because also the ones that were created in the wrong spot will be processed, but for them it will not create anything. So it will only process this last one. But we will see what happens when we run the workflow. So I start it. And we do a show log, and what we see is that finally it finds only one category to process, and then it says I'm going to create all these subcategories. So if we have a look in the workflow itself, we see now that we have in Cumulus, all these subcategories that were created automatically by this workflow. So you can decide as many subcategories to be created here or in any other place of your catalog, just based on the fact that you created this new project. So I hope this was a helpful training movie. It was a very quick and short one, explaining you how to create a workflow in which subcategories are created. Thank you for joining, and see you in another training movie.